I'm absolutely convinced. That's all there is to it.
Do you also believe that UFOs have come to Earth?
There has been and is an existing presence, an ET presence.
Do you think we'll make contact with alien within the next 50 years?
Well, that's a really tough one to say. I mean, if there are super intelligent aliens out there, they're probably already observing us. That would seem quite likely, and we just are not smart enough to realize it.
Is life unique to our own planet, or has it gotten a toehold somewhere else in the universe? Are we alone? We're on the verge of actually answering that question.
Earlier this week, the New York Times and Politico revealed the existence of a secret government program to investigate UFO sightings.
It was especially focused on encounters by members of the military, like this one experienced by a U.S. Navy pilot off the coast of California.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots to the west. Oh, big dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. It is LNS, dude. Well, if there's like anything, it's rotating.
What we are seeing is something that is not traditional aircraft. It's not a drone. It's not something that we can easily say, oh, that's an airplane or that belongs to this country or that country. In fact, my submission is that what we are looking at is truly, by definition, exotic technologies beyond next generation technologies.
Turns out that the majority of UFO sightings occur along the 37th parallel of the United States. It also turns out that most cattle mutilations are along the 37th parallel. It also turns out that almost all of America's underground military bases are along the 37th parallel of the United States. The Pentagon, Cheyenne Mountain, Fort Knox, all the way over to Area 51. There's a company run by a billionaire named Robert Bigelow. Anyways, this is a real company. Turns out for the past 20 years, they have been investigating UFOs. They're doing this in conjunction with certain government organizations. If you get a copy of an FAA manual that all of our civilian pilots use, and you look through it deep into the writing, what a pilot is supposed to do if they see something in the air, they don't report it to the FAA. They don't report it to their airline because then they will be fired. They report it to Bigelow. Bigelow gets all this information. He sends out paid for teams of investigators who investigate UFOs.
What is it? Carrie, what is that? What is that? Carrie, what is that?
No idea.
Holy crap.
Don't move me. Don't move me.
Ladies and gentlemen, compliance with the European Union security requirements for hand carry liquids. Bear in mind our terms and consequences for the public apply. Customers traveling from Ontario.
Well, you may not have heard about this, since apparently it's not a big news story somehow, but UFOs turn out to be real. We're not kidding. Recently, the New York Times profiled a secret $22 million Pentagon program that investigated unidentified flying objects. The program wasn't bogus. Investigators found multiple aircraft encounters they could not explain, and they've even been storing metal alloy recovered from the vicinity of these encounters.
In 1947, America's first nuclear base was there. It's called Walker Air Force Base. They started to track something coming through a storm in the middle of the night in July. Whatever that thing was hit by lightning and crashed on a ranch in Roswell. It spread metallic debris over 300 yards of this ranch. The metallic debris was covered in weird hieroglyphics. It was made of a material that people couldn't identify. The rancher sees all this crap on his lawn. He calls up the sheriff. The sheriff calls the Air Force Base. They send out a team. The team gathers up the debris and then puts out a press release. The press release from the U.S. Air Force says, "We now have in our possession a flying saucer." This is true. 2 hours later, they rescind their press release. They gather up all the material. They go inch by inch and gather it all up. They put it on a plane. First, they land in Dallas, where they stage a photograph with a radar operator sitting amongst the debris of a broken weather balloon. Now, everyone who was involved in that photograph has since come forward and said it was fake. The person who took the photograph, the person in the photograph, and the person who ordered the photograph. Anyways, the debris was then carted to Area 51, where it is to this day.
So I guess what bothers me most about this story is how clearly people who should have been following up and paying attention haven't been. And the case that sticks with me, November 7th, I think, 2006, at Chicago O'Hare Airport, 4:15 in the afternoon, gate C-25, I believe, the pilot of the plane waiting to depart to Charlotte looks up and there is a saucer hovering not that far over the plane. People in the tower see it, other pilots see it, dozens of people see it. It's real, and the FAA refuses to investigate. How could that be?
He told us this is where his grandparents had a close encounter with a UFO.
It really sped up and came right into their face and filled up the entire windshield of the car. And it took off at a right angle and shot off into the distance.
That story sparked his obsession and explains the alien looking out from the side of Bigelow Aerospace.
We start looking around, and both airplanes see a disturbance in the water and a white 40-foot long tic-tac shaped object just hovering above the water, going forward, back, left, right. There's no rotor wash, there's no wings, nothing. So as we drive around in a clockwise flow, we get to about the 9 o'clock position, and I said, well, I'm going to go down and check it out, and the other jet is going to stay high. So as we go down, when we get to the 12 o'clock position, it starts to mirror us. So it's in a clockwise flow, and it's on the opposite side of the circle from us. And we continue this. It's in a climb. We're in a descent. We're getting a great look at it. This whole thing takes about probably up to 5 minutes from the time we show up. I get over to the 8 o'clock position. It's at about the 2 o'clock position, and I decide I'm going to go and see what it is, and it's about 2,000 feet below me. And I cut across the circle, and as I get within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerates to the south in about 2 seconds and disappears.
What would you estimate the speed?
Oh, well above supersonic. It like a bullet out of a gun, it took off.
We just asked you point blank the question, do you believe that life from somewhere else, while you ran this program, came here, visited, observed?
I will tell you unequivocally that through the observation, scientific methodologies that were applied to look at this phenomena, that these aircraft, we'll call them aircraft, are displaying characteristics that are not currently within the U.S. inventory, nor in any foreign inventory that we are aware of.
So I know you're being clear, but I mean, the answer is yes.
I can't speak on behalf of the government. Obviously, I'm not in the U.S. government anymore. My personal belief is that there is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone, whatever that means.
Do you imagine that in our space travels we will encounter other forms of intelligent life?
You don't have to go anywhere.
You can find it here.
Yeah.
Where exactly?
It's just like right under people's noses. Oh my gosh. Wow.
You're on the air. Hello.
Hello, Art.
Yes.
Hi. I don't have a whole lot of time.
Well, look, let's begin by finding out whether you're using this line properly or not.
Area 51.
Yeah, that's right. Were you an employee or are you now?
A former employee.
Former employee.
I was let go on a medical discharge about a week ago, and I've kind of been running across the uncontrollable.